Hello, I'm Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to Vlog 23, Why Writing Matters. Today's vlog, like all of the vlogs pretty well, have come from a suggestion from you, but this one is more of an accidental suggestion. You see, earlier in the year we held a soiree for you, our wonderful students at Flinders University, and I was talking with so many of the students, and I had a wonderful conversation with three of our great scholars from engineering, the natural sciences and mathematics, and they were great. They said to me, "Thank you so much, Tara, for what you're doing, and thank you for the blogs." But what I would suggest to you is you focused a little bit too much on writing, and writing doesn't matter to scientists and engineers, and we don't write books. So at the end of the soiree, I drove home, and as you can see, Steve and I had just moved into our new house, and we were, and still are, unpacking our 17,000 books. And that is the actual figure, it's 17,000 books. So every day I try and come home and empty at least 2 boxes, or this thing just ain't going to get done. So the 2 boxes that I opened on the night of the soiree, I think, were telling. The first box I opened up included my 37 books on concrete. I'm a really big fan of concrete. I love concrete. I love brutalism as an architectural design. And so there were my 37 books on concrete. All, of course, each one of those books was written by an engineer. Also in that box was J.E. Gordon's incredible book, Why Things Don't Fall Down, which I think is probably one of the greatest books ever written. Again, an engineer. And then the next box that I opened was filled with some very precious books in my life from Emeritus Professor Ian Stewart. Ian is the Emeritus Professor of Mathematics from Warwick University, and he's written 80 books. He's only 70, so he's probably going to get to 100 books that this great mathematician has written in his career. He's also won 3 gold medals for science communication and enabling international science communication. Think about the last 250 years. Think about the great scientists that have transformed our world, whether they be Darwin or Einstein or Hawking. All of them transformed this planet through their books. So between now and Christmas, a lot of the vlogs we're going to use and talk about really are going to focus on publishing. I'm going to go there, I'm going to talk about refereed articles, I'm going to talk about where to publish, I'm going to discuss citation and impact, I'm going to discuss you, PhD students and journalism, but I've had so many requests for a vlog on book proposals and writing books that I have to give it to you. But before I went there, I wanted to at least present this enabling vlog, because the last thing I wanted was a wonderful group of our students going, not terribly interested in book publishing, because that's not what scientists and engineers do. You see, books are important. They're also the foundation for consultancies. Wherever I go and speak around the world, no matter what else I've done, the first sentence of every introduction I have about me around the world is, Tara Brabazon has written 17 books. So these books matter. They are your calling card. They are a way to market your career. But I also want to tell you a deep truth, as I always try and do in these vlogs, and that is academic publishing has transformed in the last 20 years. So the old truths about academic publishing are just simply not right. And in fact, to be frank with you, not only has publishing transformed in the last 20 years, it's transformed in the last 10 years and the last 2 years. Think about ebooks, think about iBooks, think about Kindle, think about print on demand, think about audiobooks. And of course, all these academic books are enabled through ResearchGate and also through academia.edu. So it is very important that you, all of us, but you live in the present and you understand the radical and dynamic changes that are occurring in academic publishing now. Remember, Springer and Elsevier, 2 of the most important European publishers, have incredibly expansive lists on science, engineering and mathematics. Entire book series that explore science and engineering. And when you go to those book series, you see the download rates on those books. They're enormous. Science and engineering books are popular. So I also wanted to tell you one last story, if I can, about scientists and about publishing, just in case I haven't convinced you yet. So let me see if I can convince you. My last job was as a head of school. At Flinders they call them deans of school, but it's pretty well the same thing. So I was head of school, and it was a wonderful school, and I had fantastic PhD students in it. And like my job in Flinders, I had an open door and I loved seeing them. And one of my great PhD students in the school, an astrophysicist, came and saw me almost about a year ago to the day, I think. And he said to me, "Tara, you talk a lot about books and book publishing. Can I talk about something with you?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." He said, "I've written a piece of work that's about 30,000 words in length. And about 8,000 of that is going to be a chapter in the PhD. But I've kept going and going and going on this topic. And I think I've probably got another 10,000 words in me. So could 40,000 words be some sort of book?" And so we wrote a book proposal before Christmas last year, a short book, and we tailored it for the Springer Briefs series. It was accepted and it was published in April this year. Now that wonderful young guy, he's about to submit his PhD in about 3 months, so he's completed his PhD in 3 years. He has 6 refereed articles and he has a book. Now what's significant in that story is that the PhD student has a book, his supervisors do not. So remember, that guy is competing with you for jobs. So therefore, let's get into this discussion about why writing matters and how it can enable your success, not only in academic life, but wider professional and popular responsibilities. I want to talk about academic publishing, but also professional publishing and popular publishing. Writing is not an art. Writing is a craft. It's not a talent that you're born with. It's a slog, it's a skill. And you do have to believe in yourself. And this is a question of confidence. And I understand for PhD students and research master's students, confidence is an issue. I know that most of you wake up each day, and about 2 days in every week, you ask yourself, can I do this anymore? Can I actually do this PhD? I understand that. So let me tell you 2 stories that might help you in terms of your confidence. And I've never told these stories before. So whenever you're doubting yourself, I'd just like you to remember what I'm about to tell you. Now I did, and you can see these 2 big books on either side of me, I did a research master's at the University of Western Australia, and I did a PhD at Murdoch University in Western Australia. Now, both of the supervisory teams for these 2 qualifications were absolutely dreadful. I received no support of any kind. They never read the work. It was a disaster. Now, what was interesting with the Research Masters at UWA is an academic in the department, not my supervisors, can I say, just an academic in the department, wanted to read my Masters. Now, I'd finished it in 2 years. I was within 2 weeks of submitting. I was going to submit it on Christmas Eve, the year that I submitted it. So I was 2 weeks to submitting, and he asked to read it. And I said, yes, that'd be great. Very excited. So he read it. And he said to me, 2 weeks to go, remember, "You can't submit this, quote, this is dreadful, it will fail," end of quote. So I was 22 years old when this guy said that. But the interesting thing is, the confidence of a 22-year-old, I really believed in this project. I knew it was high quality, I knew it was edgy, I knew it was interdisciplinary, and I believed in the work. What's interesting, it went out to 2 of the greatest scholars on the planet to examine. 2 of the really great big names in my field. And both of them returned it, passed with distinction. and that meant at the time it is in the top 5% of masters or PhDs that you have ever examined. And both of these examiners stated it was the best research higher degree they had ever read. It's dreadful, it's going to fail. Believe in yourself, have confidence. But then, of course, we've got the PhD. And similarly, my supervisor at the time wouldn't sign off that the PhD could be submitted. He said he hadn't read it, even though I'd delivered to him a chapter every month throughout the entire candidature. So he hadn't read it, refused to sign it off. So the administrators took it in hand. They were absolutely fantastic at Murdoch University. Hi to Anne, hi to Karen. They were amazing. They enabled my submission. It went out to 3 examiners. They absolutely loved it. Came back with 3 1s, the equivalent of 3 A's at Flinders. And one of the examiners described it as, quote, the example of an exciting new voice in cultural studies. This is the future of cultural studies, end of quote. Now, I'm telling you these stories to give you confidence. If you feel that the people around you are not believing in you and believing in your research, remember what happened to me twice with my master's and my PhD. You do have to believe in yourself, regardless of what else anybody might be saying about you or about your research. You have to be confident. You see, the point of a PhD, in fact, the point of research, is to communicate your ideas to an audience. And there's lots of ways to communicate, but what I want for you is to communicate well. There was a recent article in the Chronicle of Higher Education that stated that, quote, no one should be surprised if much of academic writing is mediocre and confused. Most people, most of the time, write badly, end of quote. What absolute nonsense is that? We as academics, we are paid to write. We have 4 jobs: teaching, research, administration, and community service. And all 4 of those roles require high quality writing, just of different kinds, in different modes. So what I want for you is to ensure that your writing has character, your writing has passion. And the problem is, most of formal education, from when we were little people, most of formal education tries to remove the light, the energy, the passion, the diversity, the brilliance of our writing. It tries to remove all the juice and the energy from it, because I think in cultures like ours, we tend to confuse standardisation with standards. Whereas I'm much more focused on standards, yes, but excellence, brilliance, passion through ideas. So what I'm going to do in the final few moments of this vlog today is to provide you with 5 quick questions, provocative questions at you for those bad days when you're feeling you just can't do it anymore. You just can't write anymore. Why am I doing this? I've lost confidence in myself. So on one of those days, I just want you to play this little bit of the vlog to give you that juice and energy and propulsion to keep going. And I want you to always know, I believe in you. You've got a bunch of people around you who care deeply, and yes, you can do this. So let me just punch out 5 quick questions to get you going again. Question 1, who is your audience? The audience for a PhD, in the case of Flinders, is 2 international examiners. So as I always state, begin with the end in mind. So you are writing for 2 people. At the start of your candidature, put possible names of examiners on a piece of paper and stick that to the wall where you write. And every morning that you wake up, take a breath, look at those names and know that is your audience. 2, don't write generalisations. What makes scholarly writing different from professional writing and journalism, and remember we're going to do vlogs on those other modes of writing as well, but what makes academic writing distinctive is that it avoids generalisations. It is specific, it uses case studies and examples, and it revels in complexity. So always remember, embrace the complexity. The challenge comes in how you engage with complexity in a way that is clear and precise. So you must engage with complexity, but write about it with clarity. 3. This is the big one, I think. This is the big characteristic of great writers. Always answer the question, what's the point? Why should I care? Now, everything that you write as a scholar, whether it's books, whether it's your thesis, whether it's articles, whether it's journalism, has to be clear. The first 2 sentences of your first paragraph have to explain what is the point of this writing. But great writing goes one step further. It directly engages with the audience and explains why they should care. So always write the sentences that reach out to your audience and say, this is why you should give a damn about my work. This is why you should really care about this research, and make that engagement overt. 4, again important one, always remember, well-crafted ideas are valuable. In the industrial age, we were paid for doing rather than describing or analysing. But we're no longer in the industrial age. We're in the knowledge economy. Ideas are our business. So there are 3 clear abilities that I want you all to develop, the 3 S's, the characteristics of great writing: skill, sequence, and speed. Remember, I don't think that writing is an art. It's not. It's a craft. It's a series of skills that you learn. But you must also develop those ideas into an argument, and that's the sequence. The sequence really matters. But these days, this is a competitive environment. You have to deploy your skill and get that sequence right, but get the ideas out quickly. They have to be delivered at speed. Last one, 5, and I hope this helps. There are no good writers, there are only good editors. Now, I know there's a lot of colleagues who think that writing is a gift that you're born with, it's innate. I don't think that. Writing is a craft. Now, my first draft of anything that I write is absolutely shocking. Everybody's first draft is shocking. You often feel, I certainly do, quite disgusted when you read the first draft. You go, oh no, because you must never judge your first draft. Congratulate yourself for getting the ideas on the paper. Never judge the first draft. Always judge the last draft. Great writers are actually great editors. As always, I want to thank you so much for being you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for creating this environment of dynamism and ideas and debate. This is what a university is meant to be, and I love hearing from you, so please, all my wonderful science, engineer and mathematics guys, love to hear from you. Keep in touch with me, let me know what you're thinking. But guys, my goal is this. Flinders University is a scholarly university. It is a research university, and what I want for all of you is when people see on your CV that you completed a PhD at Flinders, I want the immediate branding to be, oh, that's a university that cares about ideas. That's a university that cares about high quality writing. And together, we can enact that change. We can enact that aim. Have a great writing week, and as always, I wish you love, light, and peace. See ya.